How's it going?
Oh my God, it's been a while,
It
guys.
has.
Welcome back, Phucsters. This is episode 21
21.
of What's the Phuc podcast, a reality show about our lives where we're trying to start companies. Phuc Labs is my company that I'm starting, and Mass Realty as well is something Roberto is involved with Magali.
Yeah.
And we basically had a board meeting in the last episode where we were talking about Mass Realty. And we haven't. What was the last time we spoke? Like a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago.
I can
Quite a
check
while,
that.
right?
Yeah, it was a while ago. And like last episode was uploaded a month ago. Yeah. Sit at a board
Okay,
meeting.
let's say a month ago, and I'll tell you the reason why we kind of took a break. Okay, the first reason was I was actually in the middle of fundraising for Phuc
Yeah.
Labs, and a bunch of stuff happened, where basically some VCs that were really close to saying yes, actually backed out
Oh,
and said no.
man.
And they said we were too early on, which is fair because we're pretty early on in the process. But I wish we knew a little bit earlier. And then basically now we're trying to find another VC, and we actually found one that actually might work out.
Nice.
And so this VC, we'll see what happens. Cross our fingers. If that doesn't work out, then we'll go to Republic, which is something that we want to do down the road. So Republic is a crowdfunding platform where you can basically raise money for regular people. And so
Huh.
I think we're early on, but I think with the progress we have, I think we have really good investment. And I think if we showcase what we've done so far, I think the audience will agree that we actually deserve an investment and an opportunity to keep going. So yeah, that's where I've been, and I can give you some of the details during this podcast, and we'll catch up. So we actually literally have not talked
No.
offline
Nothing.
since this podcast. So this is like real live, raw reality what happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's one thing. So number one was I had to worry about the fundraise. Number two was I actually had to start making sure that the software team on Phuc Labs, I would start putting it together and making sure that it would be functional and working and something that actually would perform what we need to do.
Okay.
And basically, I was able to do that, but it took a while. I had to basically do basically a little fixing on the transmission. I'm not sure what the best analogy, but I had to go basically do deep heart surgery to make sure that the culture was right, that the team was functioning, and actually deliver results. And as a result, I can say the good news is actually massrealty.com is now officially using the new tech stack,
Nice.
the new technology stack that I want. And actually we deployed it. It's actually in production where the functionality is exactly the same. It hasn't changed, but it is actually using a newer version of the tech stack, which I'm going to actually publish in open source and talk about at a future show to showcase the audience how awesome this tech stack and they can copy it and use it for themselves. And so this is a series that I'm doing. And I also have some surprise news for you, Roberto. I also have a publicist now. I have a
Oh,
PR
not
person.
bad. Just for you or for the whole
His
team?
name is, we just hired Justin. So Justin is going to be our PR person, and he's going to help put together some recommendations for these episodes,
Okay.
and maybe some other shows that we might launch to kind of promote the Phuc Labs brand and really bring it to the world and showcase what we're doing, but also bring hope and inspiration and maybe share a little bit of technology know-how, a little bit of marketing know-how, a little business know-how, a little how to build a company, because like the mission we have, it's genius is everywhere, but opportunity is
Yep.
not. So we want to give as much opportunity as much as possible. So in terms of information, know-how, and support, that's great. So those are the things that went on in terms of Phuc Labs, and I'll update you. You can ask questions because
Oh,
I just
nice.
want to give you quick highlights.
Yeah, for sure.
And,
We could
and
have
the
Justin
Mass
on.
Realty side, I think. Let's go
We
ahead.
could have Justin on. Like, see what's up.
Yeah,
Pick his
yeah.
brain.
Yeah. So then we can get to it. So I just give a quick audience synopsis of those who are joining for the first time or don't know what the show is about. This is a real raw reality show, and the reason why is I'm a huge fan of these reality shows in the past, where startups would actually reveal what happened in the company, but none of these startups were actually like video based, nor were they live like reality. They were a couple months later, and so this is actually really like a week later, if that, right? And actually, Roberto, like a couple. How many days do you post this? Like this is like, what day does it say?
Today's the 29th.
April 29th.
You know,
Yeah. So whatever day you're watching this is really April 29th that this is happening, where we don't have money yet for Phuc Labs, but we're eminently going to run out of money in about 2 months, 3
again.
months. But we have investors who are going to hopefully cut a check. And that is the razor edge of being part of a startup. It's thrilling, it's exciting, but it's also very scary. And hopefully you do the right things. But when you're jumping off a cliff, and guess what you have, buddy? You got a parachute or whatever, a hang glider, and you better hope that hang glider you put together correctly, because you're going to hopefully glide down and not die. And so that's where we are right now. We just jumped off the cliff.
It's crazy because like last time we talked, it was all the investors, everybody was lined up and ready to put in some money, and they were like fighting. You were like actually like picking people. This is like
we were in a really good situation, and not just one but two people actually just said no at the last minute because they got cold feet. And that's what happens to I guess investors. Sometimes they see something and then they don't see it, and then they don't see it, but then they do see it. But the thing is that really matters to me is we've signed some huge contracts.
Okay.
We've signed some really big contracts that are hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have huge opportunities in front of us. We have investors who believe in us, who are going to go early. When these other investors want to see some more traction, which is the whole reason of raising this money. So it's a conundrum as an investor. You want to see some traction, obviously, right? But at the same time, as an entrepreneur, the whole point of raising this money is to create that traction, because we're coming out of lab and we proved it in the lab, and we have customers ready to buy our product. And our product is really amazing and it works, and that's why customers are bought our products, and we just need the money to basically go ahead and operate. But when you go on these dates, it's a series of dates, and then maybe when you go to the wedding, you get the runaway bride.
Exactly. You show up and then there's nobody there. Fuck. You show up and there's nobody there to like walk you down.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm in this robe because I want to show you how relaxed I am. Because for me, I've been through this journey so many times.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm relaxed, because I'm a millionaire now, so I have actually $1 million that I just cashed out for my last company. So I know that the last company, I still own a lot of that company.
Awesome.
Right. So I know that I have millions of dollars still in equity there, and I'm going to cash that out at some point. So I know that I'm already personally okay, right? But the mission for Phuc Labs is a lot bigger than me. It's about the planet. It's about my kids and what kind of water they drink. What kind.
We talked about it, like about longevity and leaving your mark and doing something positive for everybody. Like it's not just about making money, but like having like sustainable growth. And man, we have kids. So like, what am I going to do? I'm going to die rich, and then what's going to happen to them?
Exactly. Right. And then the other thing is, I have to kind of leave a legacy to be proud of. And so I'm 45 right now. I'm pretty young, so I have a lot of time left. And so I realize now that I'll tell you a little bit about my past for those who don't know me very well. So I realized something a couple of years ago. I realized that I think I'm really good at computer science in a way that is not normal. I think I was thinking back all the times that I just know everything in terms of computer science so easily, naturally. And it started with the 4th grade. So in the 4th grade, I learned something called Logo.
Okay.
So Logo was a programming language where you can draw things. So you would say, hey, there's basically a triangle, and the triangle looks like a turtle, essentially. And the turtle says, go straight, 5 pixels, turn right, X degrees, and then you do these things. You basically can draw as if you're casting a spell. And then I realized, oh my God, in the 4th grade, I was learning how to cast spells. And I was teaching my daughter the other day math and geometry and all this stuff, and I said to her, look, think of it this way. If you wanted to cast a spell to have a dragon appear in front of you, right? What would the coordinate system be in terms of X, Y, and Z? X meaning how far left and right, Y meaning how far up and down, and Z how far in front of you and back, and all that stuff. And we play with numbers like 0, 0, 0 means it's basically where you are, right?
Like your initial spot.
0, 10, 0 means the dragon appears on top of you, 10 feet above you, right?
Yep.
And then we kept playing, okay, so if you want to cast a spell, then you have to know where the dragon is going to appear to have it appear, right? And if you teach it in that perspective, we live in a wondrous world where basically this magic is being taught to us in school, and we don't realize it is magic. And now I realize, well, if that's the perspective I take, and I've actually been practicing this for 25 years, then I must be really good magician, right?
You're a wizard, man.
I think that's Yeah, and that's why I'm wearing this robe. So I look kind of like Gandalf, right?
You're a wizard, Harry.
Well, I'm a young Gandalf, but hopefully I would say, you know, if I had a comparison of who I am, I'd love to say that people thought I was Bruce Lee meets Tesla.
Like the company or the car? Like
The physicist.
Okay.
So I'm a wacky physicist, or maybe Newton or Einstein. I don't think Einstein, because I'm a little bit more funny and wacky and, you know, a little bit weird, like Tesla. And then Bruce Lee, meaning that I'm a pretty good athlete and I like sports, and I actually did martial arts, and I.
Which one?
I actually really appreciate.
You wrestle, right?
Yeah, I was actually a champion. So every year, actually in 7th grade, I think I was undefeated. In 7th grade. So I wrestled for 6 years. And actually my wrestling coach just passed away.
Shit.
His name was Steve Ward. He was basically my Mr. Miyagi.
Okay. How'd you talk to him?
Yeah, he so I'll tell you basically I'll tell you the high school wrestling story, okay? So I went to this school called Roxbury Latin. So Roxbury Latin is one of the most elite schools in the whole country. For example, in my grade, there were 43 kids total, and of the 43 kids, 10 of us went to Harvard.
Huh.
And I would say about 30 of us went to the Ivy League, 25, 30 of us went to the League. And I think this percentage is 20% of the class goes to Harvard.
Bunch of rich kids.
Well, no, I would say people who deserve the education, because even if you're rich, you could apply, you wouldn't get in necessarily. Okay. But I would say they prioritize bringing kids like me into the system, right? Which I appreciate.
Okay.
But man, I was pretty good wrestler, because you have to basically do two sports, at least one in the fall, one in the spring, and in the winter you could take a semester off, but you had to do at least 2, and most people did 3. So it was basically really fun, because all these things you basically show up at school at 7 a.m. and you leave at like 7 p.m.
Damn.
So it was like a 12-hour day, but you play sports,
every day,
have all these activities, and you go home, eat dinner, and all that, and do homework for like another 4 hours.
What about your parents? I mean, like, I feel like if I don't see my kid in the whole week, like during the week, I'm gonna have something to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's just think of that you were transported back to the 15th century, and you were like taught in like the UK by some private school that hasn't changed in like 300 years. That's literally what I went. That basically I went to Hogwarts. I went to Hogwarts for all boys. It was all boys, and we fielded teams with 43 kids. We had like 3 sports each season, but or maybe more, and we fielded all the teams.
Okay.
So so I think we had more than 3 sports. We had like 4 or 5 sports per season. So for wrestling in 7th grade, from 7th grade to 12th grade, every team that I was on was undefeated.
Nice.
Except we lost that last game.
The one that mattered.
The one where my mom came and I lost, but the team lost for the first time ever. I've never lost on any team I was ever part of until from 7th grade all the way to 12th grade. In 7th grade, I was undefeated, I believe, or very close to it, but I won the big tournament. I won the Pheasant tournament. The Pheasant is a private school around here. The Pheasant tournament is a big tournament for that. I think for that grade level. I won the whole tournament.
Nice.
And people would quit wrestling because of me, because you had a spot that you would wrestle at, and then I think I was probably like 110 or something, or 115 at that point, and people would try to take that spot, and I would just beat them barely. It would crush their hearts, because I knew exactly the move to win at the right time, and I would dominate them in such a mental way that they just got frustrated and they just quit the team.
Man, 110.
So, some of them. But, I had a really good friend. His name was John Lawson, and we also had other friends on there. But literally, he was even better than me. He was basically 3 times undefeated. He was undefeated the entire time I was there.
That's crazy.
3 years in a row, he won. He was undefeated the whole time.
All your fights.
When we were older, I would be my record every year. We would probably play 10 matches. Okay. My record would be 8-2. He would be 10-0. And he would win every tournament he was part of. He was a beast. He was incredible. I would hang out with him. He was half Korean, half black, and he would do pull-ups with his fingertips. Like
I've seen those. Those are crazy.
He would do like 15 of them or 20 of them, and I could only do like 5 maybe. but I was pretty strong. But with his fingertips,
Yeah.
not his like his fingertips like this.
Man,
Incredible.
where's he now?
Because he would choke you and he'll cradle you and he'll basically pin you. Like he would pin everybody. He was like Mike Tyson. Seriously, he would like pin people within 1 minute or less. If people would like root for him, he's like, "Yeah, I'm the best." And he was the best. He was awesome. He was so intimidating too. So intimidating because he would slam people. When he got mad, because when they messed around and they wouldn't let him pin him, he said, "Come on, just go get pinned," and he would just smack them around, and they say, "Okay, I'll just get pins."
Like this is happening one way or another.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you about my style. So my style was, I had very low cardio.
Okay.
So I basically, well, I can last, but my game plan was mental. So I was famous for this. You know the Karate Kid? You know how he did the crane move
Yes.
at the end of the movie when he like kind of like kicked the guy, he won the whole tournament?
Yes.
I had a crane moment. So let me tell you about the crane moment. So the crane moment was in, I think it was junior or senior year. I think actually it was junior year, I believe. Okay. So it was junior, it was in a tournament. It was the biggest tournament of the year, the end of the year tournament, right? And so basically I was wrestling this person who I had lost to before. He was actually a Japanese person. He was really amazing. Like he was just like strong, fit samurai, like fighter, and he beat me before. And he went to Andover, a really really good private school. So he's good looking, had girlfriends, all that stuff. I was a shy kid. Now no girlfriends, no money. He was the rich. I wanted to be like him. That's basically it. Yeah, so I wanted to be like him. I'm not sure if I'm not gonna say his name, so I don't want to embarrass him or anything. But he was basically. I say, okay, I gotta beat this guy, but I can't beat him because he's much better than me. So there's only one thing I can do. I can last as long as I can. At the last second, I gotta use the secret move. All right, if I need to, or do something desperate. But I know the move I'm gonna make. So the move I was taught by Steve Ward, he just passed away this year, was he taught us a move called duck, duck, goose. Okay. So duck, duck, goose. Imagine you're basically wrestling someone. You grab their neck, the back of their neck. You basically go and you just grab each other's back of their neck, and just kind of tug each other, right? And you would tug the other person's neck down like really hard. So that would be one duck. And of course you don't like that when someone tugs your neck
so you
down.
Push back.
Right. So you push back up, and you do it again. So that's the second duck. And then you're like, okay, screw you, right? And then the third time. That person does that, and what would happen is you actually pretend like you're actually gonna push him, but instead of pushing him, you kind of push him slightly, and he puts back up, and then he loses balance. And then what you do is then you basically put him in a headlock, and then you judo flip him.
Shit.
Yep. And then I basically I was losing, and there's a position you're in where you're on the top. Okay. So there's a point system in wrestling. So the way wrestling works is you get 2 points for taking someone down. So that means that let's say I'm face to face with you, right? And I'm fighting with you, and somehow I can get behind you. If I can get behind you, that's 2 points. That means I got control, because that shouldn't happen. That means I actually did something. So typically what you do is you go get their legs, grab them, and then you kind of turn it, and you hopefully bring them down somehow, and then that's 2 points. That's a takedown. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Now, let's say you do that, and the person on the ground somehow escapes. You're no longer behind them or on top of them, which is the mount position. They escape. That's 1 point that they get.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Because they're fighting back.
And then let's say you somehow get them on their back, and you start to pin them. Well, that's 3 points. That's really hard to do, to get someone to go on their back and have the ref start counting.
Okay.
Because if the ref counts to 3,
That's
you win the match. You pin them. Okay, does that make sense? So it's pretty basic rule. So I was losing to this guy by, I think, 2 points or something like that.
It's not that much.
And I was top mounted or something like that. And I said, okay, there's 30 seconds left, 40 seconds left of the match, because the matches are 3 minutes, I think, like 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. It sounds very short, but when you're fighting,
I know, it's exhausting.
Time, okay?
I know, and every second
maybe
counts.
it's even longer. I don't know, it depends on the tournament rules. So whatever, I don't remember the exact. I believe it's 1-1-1, right? So then it's 30 seconds left, and I'm losing in the third quarter, the third period, which is the final period. It's period 1, period 2, and then period 3, and then the match ends, right? So I'm losing, and he's gonna win. So I have to let him go. So I basically let him go, and he gets 1 point. So now he's up by 3. Okay. So then I basically time it. I say, okay, I gotta wait till 30 seconds, and so in 30 seconds I do the duck Phuc.
Duck Phuc.
Okay, because I know this has quickest song, so I basically do the duck.
Okay, we're rebranding now.
Duck. And then I didn't rebrand it. Steve Ward did.
Okay.
Because it was legendary. Because that was my crane moment.
Okay.
Where literally that was the only move I could do, and I literally cracked my rib.
Yeah.
And I yelled "ah!" like that for the first time ever in a match. I never yelled in a match. And I got him on his back, so I got 5 points.
Yeah.
Because I took him down for 2 points, and I got him on his back. That's 5 points. And I held on for dear life.
30 seconds.
Right, so now I'm up by 2. I'm up by 2, right? And I said, I got hold on for dear life. I can let him go, because if I let him go, he gets 1 point, and I'll win by 1 point.
Yeah.
I hold on for dear life. The ref only counts 1, and he gets out, and I said, I'm going to let him go, and I dance around for 5 seconds, and I win the match.
Nice. There you go.
But then the next match, okay? The next match, someone I had beat earlier in the year beat me.
Right after this?
And I got knocked out of the tournament, but I still got 4th place. Not bad. I made it to the semifinals.
Man, I thought you were gonna come back here like with like I was champion story.
Yeah, and that guy eventually became 2nd place, obviously, because he went to the finals. So this is the whatever the elite 8, and then I won. I made it to the semifinals, and then I lost in the semifinals, and then I lost in the other round too because I was really injured.
Well, yeah.
And I think I spent the whole summer, healing it, and the next year I was a little bit better.
Well, you cracked your rib?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I think I broke my rib.
Shit. That's painful.
Yeah, I think I was 17 or 18. Either it was junior or senior year. It was one of those years. I forget exactly. I think it might have been senior year.
You weighed 110
I think
when you were
senior
18 years
year.
old?
Actually, I'm pretty sure it's senior year.
How much did you weigh?
Okay, anyway. Yeah, that's my story.
110 at 18 years old?
Well, that was 7th grade,
Okay.
but I did 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th, 11th. I did 6 years.
Okay, nice.
So at the end, I was 135.
Man, I've never been 135.
Which is a tough weight class. I might have been 140 at the end. Because maybe I went up to give a spot to someone who wanted to be 135. But I could have picked any spot I want because there are certain people on the team who say, okay, you pick the spot you want. Okay. And I was one of those people. Because I'm just good at any spot.
Yeah, but then like you either put on or lose weight.
I might want to take that spot, the spot at 140 because someone at 135 is better. Then let's say I was at 135 and someone at 140 would be weaker.
Okay.
So the combination was good for the team. That would be whatever weight class, and I was probably 135 to 140 in my final 2 years.
But you have to like move, like put on the weight.
I wasn't as good anymore because
you got to put on the weight or lose it. Like you get to choose.
I had to lose it. I was 145 off season.
Shit, man, 5 pounds.
I lost like 10 pounds. Yeah.
10 pounds is.
That's why these sweats. I'm used to these sweats. Well, what would happen is to lose weight. First of all, these stairs. You had to do stairs. So the Rocky thing where you run up the stairs and stuff. The stairs at our school, there were 5 flights.
Okay.
And we would have to run up and down, okay, with a towel in our head. So we sweat into the towel, okay. Then you go to the boiler room.
Okay.
So there's a hot boiler room, and you sit there and you sweat it out. And then you get all the liquid out of your body.
Yeah, your water weight.
And then you weigh in like super early in the morning, like 5 a.m. before the day of the match. And then you can eat there during the day.
Okay. So you put it back on.
Yeah, so it's like an MMA fight.
Yeah.
Like what, So I had 10 matches a year, and I had a tournament or a couple of tournaments that we would do. But man, it was fun, but also very scary. It's like, but I know how to handle myself in a fight. So in college, right, all my roommates would try to wrestle me, including people who were like 6 feet and 200 pounds. I would just kick their butt because it's all about leverage. It's like they don't know anything about leverage. Like you know leverage and you know all the moves, and it's really it's like MMA fighting. Like if you don't know how to wrestle. And you fight MMA, and someone gets you on the ground, and they know how to wrestle, you're screwed.
A lot of people don't know how to manage their own weight. I mean, like, yeah, you're big and tall and strong, but you're very clumsy, And you knew how to move around.
Leverage, it's about like where to grab and like all that stuff. It's really hard, and also in the moment when someone's like, you can't breathe.
Yeah.
And like it's like, oh my god, someone's on top of me. What the hell am I supposed to do? Mm-hmm. And then you have this like flight or fright. Like it's pretty scary. So same thing with like I would say that's what prepared me for startups, and that's what made me so tough because you go into the match super scared, and sometimes you come out victorious and you're like, wow, I can handle it, and then eventually you're like, okay, I know I'm gonna be scared, and then that's how you know you're brave because you actually do have fear you have to overcome because the people without fear they're not really brave, they're just fearless.
Yeah, exactly. That
Right?
same thing. There was this guy that was used to say, I don't know if you've ever heard of this superhero. It's called El Chapulín Colorado. Just basically this like dude with no powers. And they asked the actor, like, who do you think is braver? Like Superman or this guy? And he's like, well, El Chapulín, because like this guy does things. Superman is invincible. He's never felt fear. He's tall, super strong, can fly, super speed. And he goes and does things. But this other guy has no powers, has nothing going on for him, and he does those things as well. So he does them with like all his fear and everything. So that's why he's a better superhero per se. Because you do things.
Agreed. And I think I told this in the show before when I talked to my kids. I asked them, what kind of superhero do you think you can really be in real life? Can you be the Hulk? Of course not, because you can't get radiation and become a superhero.
You can get really
all that stuff is
pissed.
fake. Yeah, you can't get bit by a spider and become Spider-Man.
You get cancer, like most probably radioactive.
Yeah, and do not jump into toxic waste and become.
Kids do not jump into toxic wastes.
And radiation, definitely not a good idea, kids.
No, that is not the way.
But what you can be is you can study super hard, and you can be like Iron Man.
Yeah, or Batman.
Or Batman. But Batman actually was wealthy.
Yeah.
And didn't really invent anything. He just bought stuff. I guess he did invent some stuff, I guess.
Well, he had a sidekick.
I would say Iron Man invented something in a cave, apparently.
Well, he had Lucius Fox there. He was helping him out with all his gadgets and things. But he himself was pretty good at fighting, though.
Yeah, but I believe in Iron Man 1, the beginning of Iron Man 1 was he was stuck in a cave and he took spare parts like MacGyver, and he built himself the first Iron Man suit.
Yes.
And he escaped being kidnapped or something.
Yeah, he got
that was the part of the movie.
He was a genius,
that's
though.
realistic. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing. But not putting all the parts together in a cave, that seems ridiculous.
That's the part that seems ridiculous.
I'm not sure he's going down. I'm not sure. Maybe the parts were parts he knew about and that he could put together easily. So maybe it did make sense because it was like components from his company. So maybe he did.
Well, he created an arc reactor in a cave.
That's true. He did invent fusion in a cave.
Which is, I mean, if there was one part where he was pushing the story, maybe that part. But like overall, he did well.
Well, although I do have an idea we talked about that I think could really be important that we could talk about if it does work, that is on par with that, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's one of the adventures of the machine we're talking about, the energy machine.
Yeah. It's a good one.
But anyway, let's move on. So basically, just an update. That's
where we're at.
So unrelated, but that's what we are. So we just talk about random stuff, get to know each other, but also learn lessons from life. So the lesson from this is like I actually really like people who play sports to hire people like that, right? People who are tough, people who have been basically through trauma mentally on a team sport where you lost something, you won something, you've achieved something, and you've achieved greatness, but also lost, like in the last game. And your mom saw you get pinned. Because the reason why I was very aggressive and got pinned was we were behind. The team was behind, and I had to go make these crazy moves to try to pin the other guy.
Okay.
But when you try to pin the other guy to get more points for the team, you also leave yourself open for
there's a counter.
That's the only game that my mom went to.
Yeah.
But she did get to see me make $1 million. And so she's super happy. Just to give you an update, those who love their moms like me, I love my mom. I bought her a massage chair. She loves it. We're upgrading the house with a steam room.
Ooh.
And the bathroom's done. We're upgrading the kitchen. My brother, she lives basically 2 houses down in my brother's house. And we basically are setting up a spa for her, essentially.
That's awesome.
And she loves it. And she's also been taking the anti-aging stuff, the David Sinclair episode where I mentioned all the anti-aging stuff that I've been taking. She's been taking it too. And she actually has shown results where she can actually bend her fingers now and close them.
Her arthritis is gone.
More now. Yep. She used to have arthritis in her knees, level 7 out of 10 pain, and now it's level 3.
Okay. Man, that's awesome.
And basically, I think the cocktail of again, it's a metformin, resveratrol, and NNM, and those are things you can buy. 2 of those things at the end you can buy, and metformin you can ask the doctor. But we can.
I'll write it down in the description as well.
Episode like 19 or something, we talked about anti-aging and how that actually works. And actually, my hair again is black mostly, and it used to be a lot more gray. And I look great, and I actually mentally, physically, it's the best I feel in a long time. And I think that medication actually really helped because your body is a computer. And what science is discovering is that you can actually activate sirtuin pathways. So sirtuins are basically pathways in your body that naturally let you heal and basically clean the CD of your DNA, because your DNA is like a CD, and it gets scratched over time. And then basically this cocktail basically makes you young again. And they were able to do it in yeast, in mice, and in humans. Now are being, the trials are coming back with positive results. So you may not know, but I was a CEO, co-founder of clinicalresearch.io. We are a leading provider of software in clinical research. I would say 1 out of 3 clinical research sites in the U.S. use us, and that's why that company is very successful, and I'm very proud of that company because I developed that entire product pretty much with myself and a few other developers, and I'd love to share that knowledge of how we can build amazing technology with an amazing stack that we also are doing at Phuc Labs and Masteroti, and I can share that with you guys. Some of the improvements that it's a miracle now where we live in a time where, again, coding, computer science is like casting spells. You can cast spells now so much more easily with the technology that's out there, and the stuff that we're doing is going to really help humanity. So going back to Masteroti, okay. So I got some bad news from Masteroti, okay. So Fat, I spoke with Fat.
Yeah.
And Fat, I don't think has enough time to commit to Masteroti, which is fair because he is just graduating and he just wants to focus on Phuc Labs, which I think is a good idea too.
Okay.
And so we're missing a technical person, but I think at this point, what we would like to do is talk to you. What do you think we should do? Because you're basically running Masteroti with Michael.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's the thing. Like right now, this got dropped on me right before the show. I was like, yeah, I'm not part of the team right now. I'm like, what? So like I like Fat, man. But I get that you only have so much time during your week, and he does have other commitments. So I guess that's him prioritizing them.
Is this. The main thing for this is this, guys. You and Magli, I think, are the core of Masteroti. But what you're missing is you're missing someone who really cares, like you do. Right? And the problem with Dhruv and Fat is that they're very young students who, for them, this is a nice side project or hobby or just doing you a favor. And it's not really like something that is going to be a career for them. Does that make sense?
It definitely does. Like you could see, well, he does have other things going on, and just like during exams week, and I understand that part, like for sure, like we were all students at some point, and you do need to put in the time elsewhere if you want to be successful as that as well. So,
well, I don't think that's true because I was a student, and when I started my first company, and I have other students who are just amazing. It's just some people just are really good at saying yes because they want to be part of something great.
Okay.
And when it comes down to it, they under-deliver because they don't organize their life that well, or they're just not as motivated as they thought they were.
Okay.
Or maybe they found out, oh my God, I estimated wrong, and now it's going to take 10 times longer, and you feel kind of embarrassed. And so I think there's a lot of like human reasons that are fine, but ultimately, what you want to do as a startup is there's going to be HR issues, like human resources issues, right? And the way you want to do it is when you hire people, you have to make clear what the expectations are, and let's say we do part ways, like we did with Dhruv and with Fat. We're still friends, and it's amicable because we say, hey, look, we have these expectations, these are deadlines, and we give them a couple of chances, and if it didn't work out, then we're going to have to part ways, and we did. And they understand why, and it was a lesson for them that hopefully they can carry forward because maybe they realize, oh my God, if this doesn't work out, they could have been different in terms of retroactively, but you can't really do that unless you kind of mess up the first time, right? For example, like you have to kind of mess up a couple times before you actually learn, oh my God, this is a mistake I made before. So young people, I think, are out for us, Roberto, right? I think we can't have anyone young anymore if you really want Masteroti to be successful. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Like you have to be somebody that's a bit more like forged, per se. Someone
who appreciates the opportunity because for them, let's say they're in their 30s or 40s or maybe in their 20s, but they see, wow, this show is amazing. Phuc's amazing. Roberto's amazing. I'd love to work for these guys. And now I actually have some money. And so what I'm thinking, unless you have any other ideas, is I'm thinking what we should do is just advertise a 1-year internship.
Okay.
Or apprenticeship, whatever you want to call it, or contract even. Where we just pay somebody, I don't know, some wage that makes sense. Let's say $50K.
Okay.
Okay. And then I think there's some money in the bank. I'll make sure that the $40,000 is in the bank for Master OT we talked about in the last episode. And we'll say, look, you have guaranteed money for half the years. So of your salary, half of it, let's say $30K of that will be allocated for your salary for sure. But now after that, you gotta make the other half. Let's say we give them $60K, right? So $30K will be guaranteed, and then the other $30K you got to make, because if you don't make that, you don't have a job after 6 months. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes you a little bit more hungry.
And then what we do is we say, okay, now we're making 4,000 right now, 3,000 something in ads. Have you been logging to look at AdSense, Roberto?
Yeah, I logged in a little bit. Like we were looking it over with Magali, and I don't know if Fat was there, just to check and see like where we were at, and it did go up. So that's what.
How much? Okay, so let's say when we started this show, how much was Master OT making, and how much are we making now?
I think it was making like $2,000. And I was making $3,000.
So we're making $2,000 before, and now we're making $3,000, and sometimes we even do $4,000.
Yeah. So it's not bad. It's like a 50% increase. So.
And that's because we basically fixed a really big bug where there was no new listings.
Yes.
And I said that if we fix this bug, that it would actually do that. Right?
Yeah.
I said if you did this, we would at least make at least $500 more, maybe $1,000 more per month.
Yeah. No, and everything. It's been rolling. That was Fat was doing that, I think. Not I think I know.
Yeah, you understand. So what I say typically is I'm saying it's the power part is getting someone to actually do the work.
Yep.
And actually, there's actually a thing that a guidance that we have, but I think the hard part is finding someone who has the motivation and who really wants to do the work and be part of something special. So here's a call out for our fans: if you know anybody, send it to this. How would you send it, Roberto? To email?
They could either send it to my email or just like write in the comments and see what's up. But we will get back to you because we are like right now there is a job posting.
Phuc@Phuc.net. Phuc@Phuc.net.
Yeah, right. And we'll look it over, and like it's a good job opportunity right now for all these loyal people that are still with us.
But also, I think what you should do, Magli and Roberto, you should basically go and write a job post.
Yes. Right now. Like on top of that, it's going to happen.
And just say, look, $60,000 in Boston. They have to be in Boston. They have to know how to code, right? And have Fat write the code requirements.
Okay.
Okay. Because if they can code, we can basically do everything else with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Does that make sense?
They'll fill in Fat's spot in a more.
And also willing to do videos.
Yes.
And then why don't you and Magali hire that person?
Yeah. No. Like as soon as I think Magali was already on it. Like as soon as as Fat let us know that he wasn't part of the team anymore, which is like 40 minutes ago.
Right. So live, you guys saw that this is board meeting number 2, where basically we had 2 young kids, again, Drew, who wanted to join and help with content, and then Fat, who wanted help with technology, but they felt very overwhelmed and they couldn't deliver what they promised. So we said, hey, we have to basically move on because this is very serious work. And so now we're looking for someone to basically do 1 year where this is either going to fail or not, right? But most likely it'll be 6 months because there'll be a budget just for 6 months.
Yep.
And if it doesn't work out, then basically that budget's gone because it's going to be there's $40K in the bank, and then $30K of that will go to the salary, and then $10K to do advertising and some other stuff. And hopefully you make money along the way because we're making ads right now, right? You're making $3,000 a month in ads, and so 6 months you should technically be making another $15,000, like in the bank.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Like minimum.
Expenses and stuff. So, yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like this is a going concern. And that's why I was so excited because we were so close, and now we have the store, right? And you guys have to mind the store and get the ClickFunnels thing working. So basically get the marketing going, making sure that if someone requests to see a house or join a membership and all that stuff, someone replies.
Yeah, there is a process.
Like you and Magali have to do your share too, where you basically do the customer support, customer success, or figure out with somebody, right? Or maybe that person that's part of the job description is to answer these requests, right? But ultimately, someone has to carry the slack. Until then, it's you two.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay? And I'm trying to take a step back from Master OT. Have you actually feel like, wow, that's what it feels like to be running things on my own? How does it feel, by the way?
Oh, it's good. Like everything is like on my part, like content and everything has been up to date, and we were just like kicking Fat in the ass, and then see how everything is working out, and we have seen progress.
Yeah, and the main thing is, we have to hire, and if you want to do a different thing, well, we use Upwork.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And you guys want to do that direction, also that's fine with me. And actually, I thought about that. That's a tie 50-50 split. So let's do devil's advocate. So what the pros of Upwork? So Upwork, as you know, is where I actually met Magali.
Yes.
She's amazing, and Roberto is also on Upwork. But Upwork is a platform for contractors to do contract work. Okay, so Roberto, if you want to, you could do contractors instead. But the question is, would they have the motivation?
Yeah. Is it going to be like another gig
would
for
have a
them?
local presence, and would they really care and do the extra mile and all that stuff? And so it's up to you and Magali to decide. But what I would suggest you do is go ahead and just post a job.
Mm-hmm.
See what kind of talent you get. If you fall in love with a candidate, if you don't fall in love with a candidate, don't hire anybody.
No, that's true.
And just go to Upwork. But give it a week or two, right, of a job posting. Just do one job posting and see how. And if you get lucky, the universe wants it to happen. Let the universe bring it to you. And if there's a fan who wants to recommend someone, for sure. But like, this is a limited offer. This is April 29th, and we are going to extend this offer to when, Roberto, until all applications end.
Let's do it all like April, like mid-May would be like tops.
Okay, May, 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So in 2 episodes, we'll report back about whether you're going to go to Upwork, or you've decided to hire somebody that you or going down the track of hiring someone and interviewing some people. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Right. So, but again, by the end of summer, which is 6 months plus what now is like probably like a little bit end of the summer, but a little bit past like fall. That's fine. 6 months. Let's see what happens, man. And I believe it. I believe it so much.
We're getting there.
I'm willing to put money behind it. And you guys have been working so hard. I've been working so hard. We can't let this die.
No, hell no.
But also, like, that's the reason I quit my last company, because I felt so confident about this company. But then I found Phuc Labs. And Phuc Labs is a human scale problem that I have to be focused on.
Yeah.
Completely. And so that's why, even though I'm doing this show with you, I just want to guide you as a board member, and also showcase what it feels like to start a company at the ground level, like you are, and you're basically like on the first base, or even running to first base. You're not even at first base. You barely maybe got to first base, and then we're rounding second, and getting to third probably. And it hasn't been a home run yet, but my last company was a home run, so that's where I came from. So I know how to get the home run. So that's the baseball analogy. So Clinical Research IO,
it's working.
Is making tons of money. It's a very substantial company. I'm very proud of it. We're actually basically make it faster to develop drugs. Drugs used to take 10 years and $1 billion because there was a middleman that helped push paper around and do QA on paper and all that stuff, and now that's gone with our system. So go ahead and buy our system, because that's going to make your trial faster. And the community that we built, these are all doctors. These are all institutions doing the COVID research.
People I know what they're doing. Man.
Research on groundbreaking drugs that are going to save humanity, and they're using my software that I wrote personally, and I feel so proud of it. And in the new the new hires that they have, the new president, COO, I reached out to him. They actually hired a new president, COO, and he's actually from a really reputable background. He's amazing. Okay. And I reached out to him, and I think he'll do a great job. And I think that whole company is going to be substantial, and I think that Phuc Labs will even be bigger, because we are going to solve climate change and clean tech and clean planets, and we're going to make things recyclable, and we're going to make it efficient to do things that were possible. Basically, this is an invention that would not have existed if we didn't start this company.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Without us, humanity would not have this technology, right? And we've digitized the process of something that used to be analog. We don't need a membrane anymore. We just need a computer. And using a computer, we can basically use water like a conveyor belt, and the particles in the water are like packages, and we can just grab the packages out.
Yeah.
So the packages could be gold particles, or silver particles, or copper, or aluminum. In the case of battery recycling, it's copper and aluminum, because if we can separate the two, then that's pure metal that we can sell for more money, right?
Exactly.
Or if you have to go mining somewhere and there's something in water, we can suck it out of the water. Or maybe we can do this for healthcare and some other applications down the
Okay.
road. But this is a transformative technology. I'm very proud of it, and this is the show showcasing us growing this. And at some point, we are going to do a Republic campaign. You know about Republic, right?
I've never heard of it.
So Republic is a company that was actually started also by a Vietnamese person,
Okay.
Kendrick Nguyen, right? He basically said, look, there's a stock market for public companies, like Apple and Tesla and all that. But how about companies like us? What if regular people can invest in companies like us? Like a stock market,
Okay.
right? So it's like a Kickstarter,
Yeah.
but for companies. And you can actually own a piece of the company.
Huh.
So we are going to raise $5 million at some point, and let's say we give up 10% of the company. Does that
It
make
does.
sense? And other companies have been doing this with very good success. And so Republic has raised themselves $150 million plus, at least. They just raised that like a couple months ago. And so they're basically kicking butt. And I think 10 plus companies last year raised $5 million plus. And so basically what happened was you had to go to Wall Street, you had to go to basically investors up here, and you had to go to the man. You had to go to the man, right? And now you can go to the regular people who say, well, I can invest in this company early on, and maybe I can make 1,000 times my money, 100 times my money, whatever. I'm not saying we will, but hopefully we will.
Definitely.
But there's an opportunity now,
yes.
right?
And it's accessible to everybody. I mean, like, this is for everybody,
Yes.
so like, might as well make it.
And that's what Justin is going to help us with, and that's what we're going to shift some of the show to actually showcase some of our technology and some of the amazing people working on it, and what the changes that we're going to do to help solve some of the issues of the planet, and how to apply this transformative technology that was actually predicted 150 years ago by one of my heroes, actually Einstein's hero too, which is his name is James Maxwell. He's a physicist, and he came up with Maxwell's demon. And Maxwell's demon was a hypothesis where in the future, so this is 1857, by the way, 1857, James Clerk Maxwell, a Scottish physicist who basically did Maxwell's equations, which is the fundamental formulas behind everything that we basically use electronics-wise. He's the smartest person on the planet. He's like, hey, is there a way that if in the future, if there was a demon with infinite knowledge, in other words, he predicted AI. He predicted that AI would exist. He said if there was AI, or Maxwell's demon, if there was a demon, and the demon could see a particle that's blue, and basically open the left door, and then see a particle that's red, and open the right door, the demon can use information to reverse entropy and sort the fluids, and have all the red particles be on the left and all the blue particles be on the right, or whatever, using information as a third force of nature. A third force of nature. So what we're saying is there's a third wing of magic. The third wing of magic. There's matter, there's energy, which everyone thought was the only two wings of magic, right, of physics, right? But now there's information. Information is a third force of nature, and this proves it. And I have other theories that prove that information is actually a key force of nature. And I think I proved this before in other episodes where we talked about how this proves that God is real, for example. That information comes in the form of prime numbers from God, because God gave us prime numbers as a source of randomness. Because in order to have randomness in our universe, we have to have a random number generator. So if you had to compute the universe and simulate the universe, let's say Elon Musk is right and we live in a simulation.
We're just a brain in a jar.
If I were to code a simulation, this is how I came to that fact. If you were to code a simulation, you have to have randomness. Well, randomness can only be created one way mathematically. And that's because you create a seed variable from the creator of the game, in the temperature of the CPU, the time of day, when you turn the computer on, a bunch of stuff, and then we create one variable, and then we feed it the first time. And after the first time, then everything else can be created in terms of other random characters. In Fortnite, your opponent in chess, anything that's in the game that's random, you can actually produce after the first time. But the first time must come as a definition from outside the system, from the creator of the system. And then I looked, okay, if we're in a system that's random, which when I drop things, I notice things are actually random. I drop things are randomly kind of falling somewhere, right? So we must live in a random universe. So where are the seed variables coming to us? And can we find out and reverse engineer where they're coming from? And I found, oh my God, it's so obvious. It's the prime numbers. The prime numbers randomly appear in sequence, right? And they unfold new possible numbers. Okay? So I actually haven't said this to you, Roberto, but I actually have a new theory of physics.
About what?
So I'm going to actually start revealing my physics theories, my information theory of physics, because I believe I have some insight. Because let's say magic has 3 wings now. It has matter,
energy,
it has
and information.
It has information. Let's say I'm an information scientist, which I am, and I've been doing it for 25 years. I'm really good at it. Then I'm going to explore that, and then cross-reference it with my physics knowledge, and then hopefully come up with new physics theory. So this is actually my first theory that I'm going to talk about here. That's outside the woo-woo stuff. It's actually really, really, really amazing theory. That is a mathematical theory. It's my first mathematical theory. This theory, we're going to end with woo-woo, because we always end Phuc Labs with woo-woo. Okay. So we're going to end with woo-woo because we talk about aliens here, which we by the way, the 2 VCs I talked to recently both believe in aliens. Let me talk about the aliens real quick.
Go ahead. It doesn't sound like I can stop you.
So I have this VC meeting, and basically the first thing that happens is I say, hey, do you believe in aliens? And then basically the partner totally goes on a tangent and says, oh, absolutely. And he tells all the evidence he knows about. And then I'm like, hallelujah, you're the best I can get with. And then he's like, okay, I have an audience now. And I said, hey, do you know about this? And he's like, I know about that. He's like, do you know about this? He's like, oh, I don't know about that. So then we totally hit it off. And then 20 minutes later, there's other people in the room. And I'm like, sorry, I'm supposed to pitch him. I'm sorry, but we should move on and move on to the vision. These 2 people are just sitting quietly listening to us talk about UFOs. It's kind of rude, right? Man. And so we laugh it off, and actually we hit it off. So that actually might be one of the VCs that actually funds us.
Great.
So that's how we and okay. And then another VC at the end of the meeting, I said, hey, what do you think of UFOs? I didn't think anything. I said, he's just gonna laugh it off. And he's like, oh my God, I have experience too. And he told me the experience, and I'm not gonna tell you. But anyway, it's crazy that 2 VCs were so into it. So this means something. This means the smartest people on the planet know something, right? I believe UFOs are real, right? The VCs believe they're real. If you look up the smartest people on the planet, Avi Loeb, head of astronomer at Harvard at the Galileo Project. Google the Galileo Project. He's head of astronomy at Harvard. They actually installed the telescopes on top of Harvard already to look for aliens in our atmosphere. The James Webb telescope turned on, and I saw pictures for the first time. They're crystal clear. And you know what they're going to reveal? They're going to reveal that aliens exist everywhere because oxygen is plentiful, water is plentiful. Every solar system will have a habitable planet that looks like ours. Or maybe looks different enough but can still sustain life like ours. Or
we just can't get there yet.
We can. Because the spaceships that we reverse engineered from the government, those are maybe real. I don't know. That's a dissemination thing that's, I think, going to happen very soon. My prediction is in the next 1 to 2 years, there will be more and more dissemination of the truth, and we are going to find out a lot of funky facts.
Man, I was really pushing for this access to information thing.
Yeah, no, aliens are real. If you want to, go to YouTube later and type in 60 minutes Australia aliens. Go halfway through it, and you're going to see a spaceship that looks like a cube, a black cube, with a force field around it. And that's an eyewitness pilot on that show on 60 Minutes Australia, talking about how they saw it every day, 2 years, something like that, up close, 20 meters away. Sometimes they would fly in between the pilots, okay? That's number 1. So eyewitness from Air Force pilots. Then I have another video you can Google and find out where off the coast of Medellin, you know where Medellin is?
That's in Colombia.
And a pilot had an iPhone and caught the cube spaceship on an iPhone camera.
Huh.
Okay?
The same cube.
So Google Made UFO cubed on YouTube, and Google Australia 60 Minutes Australia aliens, and you can see that those are what the spaceships look like. And they go faster than light. And yes, Roberto, that's how we can get to the other planets. Because they're already visiting us. They're already here. They've been here a long time. And you know what's really weird, Roberto? What's really woo-woo?
What?
Well, apparently we are alien hybrids.
Oh.
That we have been genetically
modified,
engineered, and maybe helped by the aliens. So the zoo theory is true. That maybe there's a Galactic Federation, and now we're entering a sector of space. Now they're going to interact with us, and they're going to reveal themselves. That's woo-woo, but maybe it's true. I'm seeing some data, and I'm researching it, and it seems really woo-woo, but what if it's true, man?
It would blow my mind.
So anyway, that's woo-woo right there.
It would blow my mind if somebody was like, well, yeah, looks like you guys are ready to be part of the team now.
I think that's what's happening. I'm like 90% sure, based on all the evidence I've collected. So another evidence you want to look at is there's a professor. His name is Gary Nolan.
Okay.
Gary Nolan, at Stanford. There's a part of your brain called the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia controls motion, but also scientists believe that that's also where intuition is, and a transistor to the quantum realm where we're controlling our bodies.
Okay.
So basically, according to basically my theory, what I think happens is the quantum realm is like the internet. We're controlling our bodies from there. And in the basal ganglia is an antenna where intuition is, and that's close to the motion center. So basal ganglia is where you move stuff. And people who have basically schizophrenia, they have issues there.
Okay.
So the radio frequency of who they're channeling in terms of the soul that they're reading and controlling their body is changing all the time. That's why they're different people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And people with autism too. People with autism in that area, the basal ganglia is depressed. But also people who are geniuses who play chess and anticipate chess moves ahead of time, when they measure the chess players, that area lights up more.
Huh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like they know what's
an area
coming.
of like high intuition, high capable people. But also, Gary Nolan, the CIA brought to him patients who apparently had UFO encounters, but got sick. Gary Nolan is one of the most famous biologists in the world. He works at Stanford. He runs a whole lab. He tested these guys, and he discounted some of them as fake or Havana syndrome, whatever it is, right? But the ones he did say look real, and by the way, 1 out of 4 of them died. So this is not like just people who just said stuff. They actually had physical harm, including death. They had an enlargement in the basal ganglia.
Okay.
In other words, there's a mutant detector, where if you have this MRI test, you can see that 1 out of 200 people have an enlargement in this area, and are essentially more telepathically aware.
Huh.
Does that make sense? And then if you ran that test, the first thing you do as a scientist is you run it yourself, and he did, and he actually had the same enlargement himself. Gary Nolan had the same enlargement, so he's also a mutant.
Okay.
So Gary Nolan invented the first mutant detector. And his whole family, they're also mutants. And the thing is, these people with basal ganglia enlargements, they also like to marry each other and be friends. It's true. It's crazy.
Well, yeah. Well, you kind of like attract the people that are more like you.
But maybe that's the evolutionary thing we're trying to be worked towards, right? So maybe that's the third eye. The third eye is being opened for some people. And apparently some of these people can see more ghosts, more UFOs, more strange things. And so let's say our awareness is canceling everything we don't understand, but then now you have the third eye and you can actually start seeing things. Some of these people actually might be seeing UFOs, and other people's like, what's that? Oh, that's just a star. But then you're like, oh no, that's a UFO, and you pay more attention. Oh yeah, that is a UFO. But the first person to see it would be the one that has extra basal ganglia enlargement. It can kind of bring it up to everybody else. Does that make sense?
It does if you have an.
So maybe that's what it means, but I don't know exactly. But ultimately, there's a lot of evidence from many different people that something weird is going on, and there's going to be some disclosure happening very soon.
I really want to see that.
So the hybrid thing, right? The alien hybrid thing, I actually looked it up because I'm actually do clinical research, I know how to do peer review papers, read all that stuff. So I looked up the latest in DNA research, and this is something that's gonna freak you out, Roberto, right?
Freak me out, Phuc.
You gotta believe two facts. You gotta believe two facts for the hybrid theory. Okay? You gotta believe that Neanderthals are actually not Neanderthals at all. That's number one.
Okay. What are they?
Because the Neanderthals that supposedly interbred with humans,
Yeah.
there was 7 events. There were 7 events, at least, maybe 12. Okay? We started out as, so here's what happened. DNA was discovered, blah, 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 and then the testing got cheaper and cheaper. Then we started getting the data, and now we're analyzing the data, and now we're getting the results of the data with peer-reviewed papers and all that stuff, and I actually looked at the latest and greatest, and here's the real facts, okay? The human species originated in Africa. That's the original DNA. Then we went towards Europe and interbred with Neanderthals, and then diverged and became hybrids the first time. Okay? Then it kept going. We kept going towards basically East Asia, and we kept interbreeding with Neanderthals along the way. That's the technical, official facts. Those are the facts. Those are the facts. If you Google that right now, you're like, hey, look at the history of DNA results coming back. I can send you a YouTube video if you want. But you go to YouTube, there are actually scientists who say, okay, we actually did have DNA differences. And people from Africa are different from white people. It's true. Okay? Because you actually can measure the hybrid. And also Asian people are different from African people. Because we actually get inbred with Neanderthals supposedly, right? But these Neanderthals maybe are not Neanderthals. Maybe these Neanderthals are actually aliens that interbred with us, or maybe we were actually interbred with aliens on purpose. That's the hybrid theory. Because the facts show that something did happen, right? 7 to 12 mutations. And these brains for these Neanderthals are larger than ours. They're elongated like King Tut.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. And the other thing you want to Google is this. You just Google archaeologists all over the world that look for large head skulls, and they're everywhere. They're in Africa, they're in Asia, but they're just not. It's not like a tribe. It's the rulers of all these kingdoms have big heads.
Like an unfair advantage with.
Or the elites. The elites have big brains, and guess what? Some of these have big heads, but look like little baby boys or girls, or maybe look like little aliens that are smaller than us. The typical, the typical gray alien.
Yeah.
Maybe aliens aren't necessarily as big as us; they're actually smaller, and that's why these look like little children that get buried. But these children aren't children; they're actually big heads, like adult heads, but elongated too.
I will check it out.
Check it out. So basically, the combination of the DNA facts show that we did have 7 to 12 hybridization events, and the combination of who the freaking Neanderthals are. Because if you look at the facts, they're not Neanderthals. Because guess what happened? You would see pockets here, and then all of a sudden, they'll like one thing will be here, across the globe randomly. How could that happen? If that's a local tribe, it's like, and and then they all have the same pattern. They all have elongated heads. Big freaking heads with bigger brains than us.
Man.
And they're stronger too. And so basically they're like a better fit alien species. I don't know. Maybe and okay, one more thing to end the woo-woo show because we have we're past an hour. Google fungus on Mars. So NASA has found fungus on Mars. They are going to bring a sample back. They don't want to tell anyone. But NASA has found fungus on Mars. It has the same DNA as probably Earth fungus. If they bring a sample back, which they're trying to do right now, because they're drilling a hole in the soil and they're shipping these little samples into space, and the spacecraft is basically going to pick it up and bring it back to Earth uncontaminated. So we know that it wasn't created by humans and us, and being there and dropping it off and all that stuff and contaminating the planet. We're finding it everywhere because we would run over these mushrooms and they'll grow back on our wheels. On the Perseverance rover. Right now, on Mars, there are fungi growing on the freaking rover. Every day. And we're running it over, it's growing back, and we detect it everywhere. We're not telling the public because they'll freak everybody out. Because we want to find out the truth. If this DNA matches DNA of fungus on Earth, then this proves that panspermia is true, that we were seeded by the same alien race, that we have cousins in other planets that look like us, and we basically come from the same family. That is going to be the reveal. I predict that right now.
Soon.
All that evidence. The Galileo Project. James Webb Space Telescope. Fungi on Mars. I didn't even talk about the phosphine on Venus. In the clouds of Venus, there's phosphine. Evidence of organic life in the clouds of Venus. I believe the clouds of Venus is the god Ra. Is a sentient being, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Right? It's a cloud being. It's different from regular people. And I believe the planet might also be alive. Gaia herself. Our planet might be sentient as well. And maybe the sun. I have no idea. But there's some woo-woo stuff that's about to happen, man. So we're doing some edge science here. But it's going to be awesome on Phuc. What the Phuc? What the hell are we talking about right now? how are we going to hit? But this is awesome. This is going to be the best time to be living. Because if aliens do come, holy crap. The technology, the know-how, the amazing things we're going to learn about life, about the afterlife. Do we live forever? Which I think we do. Do we reincarnate? I think we do. Right? So all this stuff, we'll find out very soon.
Stay posted.
It's gonna be
Stay
exciting.
posted.
But yeah, but we're also working on some amazing stuff at Phuc Labs, and it actually works. So I'm not a crazy person, I don't think.
Just enough, you know.
Yeah, well, who's crazier? You audience listening to me, or me making this show? Who's crazier, huh?
Let us know in the comments.
If you made it this far, you're pretty crazy too. So thank you, Phucsters.
Well, have a great day.
Have a great.
And I'll see you guys next week.
And, see you guys next week, and we'll start these shows again every week. Okay?
Welcome to season 2.
Sorry, I missed you guys. I just had to take care of some business, and we still have some business to take care of.
Of course. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, Phuc.
Bye.
Bye.